Religion has many victims, and these are the stories of how they survived. Welcome back to The Awakening, everybody. I'm your host, Heather.
And I'm your co-host, Jezebel or Tamara.
We
Thank
are
you for joining us.
we are so excited to be back with you again this week. We have some really incredible guests. We have Presley and Joshua Colburn joining us today. Some of you may know them as the original Sinfluencer, or Prez is what you go by on TikTok, or Prez Moy is what it is, isn't it? But they are both really incredible voices in the deconstruction community. So we are excited to have them here with us and to be able to have this conversation with them today. So welcome in, y'all.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Thank you for having
Welcome.
yeah.
yeah. us. Thanks so much for having us. My throat made
I
a weird.
know.
Did
I
you
got
hear
all
that?
no. My mouth got all
As
nervous.
soon
I
as you
feel
said
like
welcome, my throat went.
I know. I had flashbacks to
It's like
like
a baby
school
lives in my throat.
announcements. Yeah.
It's my demon is finally coming out. Like
Whoa.
it shows your show to speak its first
Or as
words.
we like to call it, our Eve.
Our Eve.
Are you
Yeah.
trying to
Yes,
say that
RE.
we're cursed or you are?
I think it's all of us. Honestly, I think everyone together is.
Absolutely. So, we go pretty far back because we kind of connected way back when we both started posting on TikTok about our
Sure did.
deconstruction journeys. So, you guys are married and you guys are our first couple to have on the show. That's another thing. We are so
Oh,
excited
Ooh,
about
how
that
fun.
because
that is
we've never
exciting.
had a husband and wife that have deconstructed together. So, that is really
Mm.
incredible. So, Josh, you want to tell us a little bit about your background and where it is that you came from and how you ended up becoming part of this faith?
Yeah, I so I guess to understand me, I'm realizing more and more I have to start telling people more that I was an 80s kid. I was born in 1980, and so I grew up in a weird environment. I grew up down in a place called Carmel, California. Clint Eastwood was my mayor. Like it was a surreal environment to grow up. It's a really beautiful place, but I grew up poor in this place, and it was interesting because I didn't have a ton of supervision. I was kind of on my own and kind of aimless, and a prime candidate to get swooped up into the church. And so met a youth pastor, and he invited me to church, and they immediately kind of gave me a lot of attention because I was an outsider. I was someone who um, didn't like walk the walk or even know the talk at all. And so in some sense I was like a project to
Yeah.
these people, and I immediately was just like, my parents do drugs, and they're like, oh, we can use this story, and they're putting me up on stage. And
Yes.
so within like the first couple weeks of even being in church as a 14-year-old, like going through all of these changes in life, dealing with, a troubled home, I found a soft, safe place to land, what I thought, in the church. And that kind of kicked off. Then quickly I started using music. They had me get up and lead worship. I think it was like the second time I was ever at church, and I
Wow.
sang a Tool song. I just changed the words around. I didn't know what I was doing, and then I just kind of got sucked into the vortex. Like my whole life became youth group and became purity culture and became the Christian music I listened to, and that became my whole identity. And then became a pastor, got hired right out of the church, was told I didn't need to go to college, because God had given me such an anointing and a gift that I can just jump right into ministry. And now looking back on that, I'm like, oh, that just meant I was talented. Like they liked my
Yes.
talent. They
Yep.
didn't have any interest in my intellect or anything like that. It was just like, this guy can sing and people listen when they sing. Like, let's tell him he has a gift.
And those environments are absolutely excellent at exploiting our gifts and talents for their own benefit, right? Like
Yeah,
that's how they make
totally.
money out of this system, right? They put a
Yeah.
really good singer up there, they can get more money in that offering plate.
Yeah. And on the other side of it, I got good at exploiting that feeling that I got from that attention.
Ooh,
And so
yep.
the two kind of would play with each other in a way. and all of it now, looking back in retrospect, it keeps you stuck in that vicious cycle
It does.
of
Yep.
gaslighting yourself, wondering, am I good enough? What the fuck is wrong with me? Is swearing
Yes.
okay on your podcast? Because
Oh,
I
yes,
okay,
absolutely.
good.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so just what is wrong with me? So long story short, I eventually everything was kind of, I had always had a lot of questions. I always tell people I was deconstructing from the moment I got in the church. Like people ask me
Mm,
all the time, when did you start deconstructing? Day one. None of it made sense
Yeah.
to me. And I kind of felt like, this is paired with my dyslexia and ADHD. I felt like I was too dumb to understand the things that everyone else understood, but I felt the feelings, and I felt all those feelings really like deeply. And so I was like, this has to be real, right? Like, and I just am too dumb to understand it. Um, Now I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, I was kind of too smart to get suckered into
Yes.
some of this stuff,
That's exactly what it was. Yep.
and that's empowering for me. That's taking a lot back from those
mhm.
moments of feeling like I was really dumb. Um, so yeah, I found my way out of it after being a pastor. I know I'm leaving a lot out. There's 14 years of me being a pastor, 20 years of me working in professional ministry. I often refer to myself as a professional Christian. Um, but looking back on it now, it was really interesting just to see watch myself fall through the mess, to stumble through the mess, and then to find myself on the outside of it going, whoa, that was a lot and half of my life. What the fuck? And so now I use my voice and I share about the stories. I think a lot of people, as I started sharing and using my voice, a lot of people started sharing like I have a similar story, and I realized my
Yes.
story wasn't unique at all. I thought it was unique
Right.
coming into it, but then it's like, oh, there's so many people out there. I know I'm being a little long-winded here, but the other interesting
Mhm.
part of this is after being in the deconstruction game, I guess, for so long, 3, 4 years now, um, what I see is there's these cycles of people who use this content and then they get out of it. They go away. Like they heal and then they leave. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Mhm.
Yes.
But I see, right now we're kind of in a wave of a bunch of new people kind of
Yep.
discovering our content, which usually means there's something going on in the world that is jarring something loose in them to go, I should
Yep.
start looking this shit up and really starting to find out what I believe. So
Mhm.
that's kind of a little, a long, short version of my story.
When I came on Facebook, TikTok 5 years ago, right? It was all of us who were like, there was an older group that deconstructed, in their 40s and up. And we were very much more controlled about what we talked about, what we said, how we were acting, what we were feeling. It's like we were feeling out the water, kind of saying, oh, wow, I'm not special. I'm not the only one out here that has left a high controlled religion. Wow. There's other voices besides mine. That is fucking amazing. And
Yeah.
then I've noticed in the last several months, it's like there's a much younger group. They're
Yes.
kind of like, this doesn't make sense. I was raised in it. And their voices are much um, more powerful. Like they know exactly what they're saying sometimes, and they just come out and say it. Where sometimes I see the newcomers, right? And I'm like, oh, yeah, say that for me. Because I
Yeah.
didn't say that yet. You know what I'm saying? It's like, there's that new
Absolutely.
wave of boldness that comes along with saying, I'm not afraid to say I don't believe. It's okay. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go back.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was those voices, those people that were willing to use their voice in that way that encouraged me. Like
Mhm.
we deconstructed totally by ourselves, did not know there was
Yes.
community for that. We were on an
Mhm.
island. I know I had processed and gone through so much of my deconstruction just in my head
Mhm.
that and Prez was telling me over and over again, Joshua, you've got to get on TikTok. And I'm like, I'm not going to get on some stupid dance app. Like that is not what I do. Like I don't dance. What are you talking about? And I think it was a year, right? Like you had like
Yeah.
told for a full year of like, Joshua, you got to get on this. The day that I got on TikTok was like, holy shit. Cause I had seen, I think it was, Eve was framed. Like when I'd seen
Yeah.
her. I believe Steph
Yes.
popped up for me, and it was like I had immediately felt
Mm.
more seen than I had felt in a very long time. Of
Mhm.
like,
Yep.
oh, this is powerful, and then I was like, maybe I'll just share something, and I got on and I said, hey. My name's Joshua. I was a pastor for 20 years in the megachurch, and I think I'm going to start talking about that. Went to bed, next morning woke up and had like 2,000 followers. And I was like, what? There's something going on here in this.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't stop. But it was really a powerful to hear someone else vocalize their trauma from the
Mhm.
church
Yes.
was one of the most powerful experiences I've ever had, truly.
It was the same for me, and my husband and I had a very similar experience because when we left the church, we didn't know that we didn't know even the language to call what it is that we were experiencing, right?
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
always say that we were raw dog in deconstruction because
Yeah.
we had no idea what we were doing. We had no community to walk us through it. All we had was family being like, uh, I'm really concerned about what I'm seeing Heather post on the internet. Like, like I'm afraid she's headed to hell in a handbasket. So it
Mhm.
wasn't until like during COVID that was when I found the New Evangelicals Facebook group. And when I found that group, I sat there for a good 30 minutes just crying because I didn't know that there were other people out there that were talking about the same things and that had had similar experiences. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh my goodness, there is words to put to all this stuff that I've been through because I didn't even really know how to articulate what it is I had been through. I didn't
Right.
have the language for so much of what it is that we had experienced in those spaces. Like I knew that I had been manipulated and I knew I had been harmed, but I couldn't even say how those things, what had happened to me. Like I just learned a few weeks ago that I have PTSD because of my experiences, right? So that's frustrating because here I am almost 45 years old and I'm just now learning what's wrong with me, but who it is that I am as a human being
Yeah.
because it was prescribed for me before I even knew who I was. So I didn't even have a chance to figure out who that was, who I am, how I want to show up in the world, what kind of person I want to be outside of that faith. And I think this is the most beautiful season of my life because it's like it's my turn to finally make my life what I want it to be and be the person that I want to be and show up in the world how I want to show up in the world.
When I first left the cult that I was raised in, I always just said I escaped a cult, and then I never said anything else because I was so indoctrinated about not doing the prophet no harm, not talking bad. I was a backslider. There was no place for
Mhm.
me, even though
Yes.
I left for very valid reasons. I was still classified a Jezebel because I walked away. So it
Mhm.
took me years to kind of sort that out to say, wait a minute, I didn't do anything wrong and I didn't have a voice and I didn't know what to say and I didn't know how to say it. And then when I started meeting, you guys, you don't even know it, but when I started seeing you on TikTok, I started being able to put my journey outside of my head. And it was just such a huge relief. So
And
thank
it's
you.
almost as though we have to learn the language
Yeah.
before we can even talk about what it is that we went through. And we've
Yeah.
even had people on our show that are just so new in their deconstruction journey that they don't even have that language yet to
Mhm.
Mhm.
articulate all the experiences that they went through and
Yeah.
all the harm that they suffered. And I think that's so frustrating when we are so restricted from knowledge that we can't even explain the experiences that we have went through. And that is so awful because you can't even face the things that you've went through to process them properly
Yeah.
if you can't even articulate it.
Totally, 100%, Heather. I mean, and the crazy thing is that we're inventing language for a lot of this stuff. Like I
Yeah.
find myself inventing language, like for example, testimony culture. Um, I think that's something I coined. Not that I care, but it's like I didn't have
Yes.
language for, when I started looking into the damages of testimony and testimony culture inside churches, because I was greatly harmed by that.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
and that's something I speak about a lot, but every time I talk about this, there is someone in the comments that is like, whoa, I've never thought about it. So I think a lot of us, people who have deconstructed and really, really spend a lot of time in this space, are identifying in language to use in this, and a lot of it's come from the community. You know, a lot of the
Yeah.
language that I use now was born out of listening to other people talk about their experiences in the church.
Mhm.
And so I'm forever grateful for the deconstruction community, whatever the fuck that even means or looks like, because
Yeah.
it's bonkers. But sorry, I got long-winded again. But yeah, Prez, share your story, because I think it's your story into the church is so powerful, truly.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to
Yeah,
hear it.
mine's kind of strange. Okay, I'll try to. I always feel like we're like, well, keep it short, and then it's like,
No, we got all
now
the
this
time that
was
you
when I
need.
was 4 years old, and I had a dream. Now, yeah, so mine started with our family jokes that we are Baptist Buddhists. And that's because I'm like a pretty, I do feel like I'm a pretty stereotypical like Bay Area kid, but not just Bay Area, but like East Bay Asian. And so what that is it's like we're too white to be Asian and too Asian to be white. So we're kind of like in this weird
Ah,
like in between, but not only do we physically feel that way, it's our food. Like this sounds so like reductive, but like I love cheeseburgers and my dad's like stir fry. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it always just kind of felt like I lived in this dichotomy, and that dichotomy continued with me through my entire journey in Christianity, going to a private Christian school. Like everything in me has always felt like a dichotomy, even being half Japanese and half Chinese, like without getting into the history of that. So what I mean, the reason why I bring that up is when I first got enrolled into a Christian elementary school, it wasn't because my parents were Christian. It was because they felt that it would give me good morals, and it like academically I would be set up to excel later in life. I do think there was like some status involved in it too. Like I went to school with professional football players' kids and celebrities, and like think about the fancy gated communities, like
Yeah.
those are the kinds of kids that went to this school. And so I think I always thought that was really interesting that I never went to this school like ever having any idea really what God was or the Trinity. I didn't know how to read a Bible. Like I literally knew nothing. And I was in kindergarten. I'm like, I guess we're wearing a uniform, and every Friday we wear a red sweater vest. And like now there's these things called hymns, and there's two significant things I remember my first day. Well, actually, three. The first was that a kid next to me taught me how to read the Bible. I thought that was actually really cool. I was like, oh, so you find like the book, the chapter, and the verse. Like, I thought that was really, really cool. Like, and that started to be one of the foundations for why I stayed in Christianity as long as I did. I love learning, I love being a scholar. That really excited me. I think that. I think that was like a gift that kept me in it longer. The second thing that happened was I came home and told my parents I wasn't afraid to die because I was gonna go back home to God, and that freaked them the fuck out. So much so that they went to go speak to the principal. But now I look back on it and I was like, what did you expect? And then the third thing was that there was a rainbow flag, and it said something like we're all it said like the alpha and the omega, and like we're all like God's children. And I looked up and then I asked my teacher what it meant, and she said, oh, it represents all the different like skin colors in God's kingdom. And I said, well, what color am I? Because there's
No,
only red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple.
no.
um and I am not making this up, but that's where I learned I was yellow. I had no idea
God.
that
Oh
my
my God.
category is yellow. I really did it. So, like I said, with the dichotomy of growing up there, like, yes, I'm the only child of a dentist in a pretty affluent area, but I'm still Asian. Like, I'm being made fun of for bringing chow mein to school, but then I'm like, my skin color is represented on a rainbow. So, everything felt very, like, I feel like I never fully
Did you,
devoted.
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to do the which baby picture is you?
Oh yeah, I have a TikTok about this.
God.
I like we did this game where it's like match the kid with their fucking baby
Oh
picture,
no.
dude.
Oh
Me
no.
and like the two other kids were looking at each other. We're like, "Well, we're the fucking free space, you guys. Like if you can't put this shit together, like
Please.
Listen, no, I grew up in rural Pennsylvania in an all-white
No.
school. We knew there was two black kids in our grade, and
Yeah,
one of them
please,
was
please.
One of them was like half black, but everybody knew who those kids were because they were the only ones. And I
Yep.
remember when he came to our school going home, I was so excited. I thought he was so cute. I told my mama that I was going to date that little brown boy. And
Uh-huh.
she was mad at me. Oh, no, no, no. We do not mix race in our
Yeah.
house. I was not allowed. It was forbidden. And I'm like, my dad
Um,
was a pastor. Like, this is a Christian home. But, you know,
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
What
that was
business
like,
does light have with darkness? That's
yeah,
what we heard
oh shit.
yes.
Wow.
from
Like,
the
Dang.
pulpit.
it's
It's like,
Wow.
crazy.
what?
Yeah, and see, but see, do you see why as a kid I'm like, well, which one am I?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
confusing.
Because I was
Yep.
like, well,
You're already set up to fail in this system.
yeah, and on top of that, guys, I'm not even fucking kidding you. I used to make this joke all the time where I would say that I was adopted. Because I just found myself like literally predominantly in all white churches,
Yes.
and like I'd get asked, "Where are you from? Your English is so good. Like, where are you
Oh
really
my
from?
gosh, that is
Like, where are your
so
parents
freaking
from?"
annoying.
I'm third generation. All right,
Like,
like I
your
want to
English
know.
is so good. She's like, honey, my family's been here for
I
decades.
know.
What the
I want to be
hell?
like, yeah. I
Her
actually,
family has been here longer than my family. Like
Yeah.
like the color of my skin says otherwise to
Oh,
people.
yes.
And
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
insane. That's absolutely
That's why
insane.
we have
except
to walk
for
out in public wearing shirts that say shit white, but not that white, right?
Yeah,
Because
right.
that way people
Exactly.
know what kind of white people we are. Like,
I got
and it's
tattoos and grew my hair
always
out for that.
yeah.
and it's always so disheartening because it's like it's 2026
yes.
and we still have to have these issues. What was it in 2023? They were doing the interracial bill in Congress that was attached to the LGBTQIA, and it was going to end interracial
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
marriages, but state by state, whatever the states wanted to do. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? Like, I'm sorry. It's like,
I
even after
No,
know.
love versus love, this is where we're at.
it's really
Yeah.
sad to see, as someone who grew up in the 80s and was being told regularly that if you touch a doorknob that a gay person touched, or you sat on a toilet seat that a gay person touched,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get AIDS, right?
AIDS.
Like, this is being programmed into us. And so now we're
Yes.
demonizing a whole
Well, that's why we
community.
ended up with all those toilet seat covers for the bathroom when you're out in public because of that freaking lie. People were so scared to sit on a toilet seat. I remember my grandmother going into the restroom and wrapping the dang toilet seat with toilet paper before she'd even let me sit on it when we
Totally,
were
Mm-hmm.
out in
right?
public, you
It's
know? And it's
insane. And
like,
this was our reality as we but then we saw it get better. Like, I think
yeah,
like there was if whoever's listening, if you haven't heard, I hope you've heard, but Matthew Shepard, I believe if we look back on that time, and he was a young gay man who was beat to death and left
Mm-hmm.
for dead. Um, but I believe that was a turning point in American history of where we said, no way, we cannot fucking do this anymore.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, I remember watching the shift happen almost in real time around me and my friends and everybody going like, that's not okay. Like, and it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like from that moment things started to progress and get better, and equality and all of this. And then suddenly it's like in a fucking blink,
We're
it's
going
all
way back.
shattered. We're
Yeah.
we're not even going back. We're back. And it's
Yeah.
like,
It's like,
what the actual fuck just happened? The whiplash of it all is insane. And so, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
except for that, like when you really think about it, it's not that much of a whiplash because, like, any person of color, it's felt the same.
Yes,
True.
exactly.
Right.
But I know what y'all are saying. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But looking back at that time, I remember being, because this was after the apartheid, and because I'm a 90s, 2000s kid.
Yeah.
So even I do remember being like, even watching on Disney Channel that there's like multiple, like now it's not just white kids. Like I do
Mm-hmm.
remember feeling like, wow, thank goodness we don't have to live in the civil rights movement era or the 60s movement. Like I remember feeling like, oh, thank goodness we're out of that. So
Mm-hmm.
to see see some people being so emboldened with their horrible views, their racist views, it just I just don't understand it because I know it's always existed, but I guess like maybe this is kind of outdated, but it did feel like people would at least shut up about it. Like it did used
Yeah.
to
Exactly.
feel like
They
Yeah.
weren't so
people would
public with their hate.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, that they should keep it to
It
themselves.
wasn't cool to be a Nazi,
No, it
like
wasn't.
you were kind of afraid if you were, you could only hang
Yes.
out in certain parts, and now they're just fucking out. It's
And it's
insane.
literally, the Nick Fuentes and, the Charlie Kirks of the world that we
Yeah.
have
Yes,
to blame for radicalizing these young men to being red pill
absolutely,
incels.
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Um,
I think this because I live in the state of Michigan, and what people don't really know about Michigan is that it's like one of the largest militia states in the United States, right?
Mm.
There's like these all these little like tiny little militia setups. And what I think is that the feel of the nation has given them the opportunity to come out of their hiding. They
yeah.
Mhm.
already have been there. They've been underground for all these years, and then all of a sudden now they're just walking the streets, just walking down the streets with everything on their back. Every gun you
Yep.
can possibly imagine. You're like, what do you need that for in the city of Detroit? You don't need to walk the streets with an AK-47, just and with KKK all over you. What is
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
I
It's like
know.
disgusting.
And those are the
Yeah.
people that 10 years ago they've been walking in the street, they'd have gotten their ass beat to the
Oh yeah,
ground for
oh yeah,
stepping out of their house like that. But
Mhm.
now they aren't there is no checks and balances. Like this
yeah.
is what being in Donald Trump's America has turned people into. It's given a complete platform for all that hatred
And
to
I
Yep.
have to say
thrive.
this because back when George Floyd was going on, Detroit was doing huge defund the police. Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
not that I don't appreciate the police. That's not what this is about. But if you understand the racism and the things that happen within an intercity relationship with the police officers,
Mhm.
I was out there every weekend screaming, defund these police officers, because if you know how they get into power,
Mhm.
generation after generation after generation, and it is nothing but generations of racism, and they just keep it quiet, but they're allowed to get their agitation and their aggravation out on whoever they arrest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then now we have those police officers that feel like they have been glorified
Yeah.
in power. And that is what is so sad.
Yeah, now we have like this next generation that's even worse. It's not even well trained for the
Yeah.
matter
Right,
of
right,
days.
right.
Like I was speaking to this with my doctor the other day, and y'all might, did you take civics in school?
I don't
Yes.
think I was smart
See, they
enough.
stopped doing civics after I believe it's my years of school. So I was there in the late 90s through 2000s in elementary school, and it was called
Yeah.
social studies. And if you look back at the shift in that, we went from empowering our youth for knowing their rights, knowing their civics to, well, what if we just taught them social studies and we only gave it to them out of Texas and
Yep.
California, and then like we kind of like left some stuff out? Do you see where I'm going with
Yeah,
this?
yeah,
And
Yeah.
yeah.
it's something
Mhm.
that because I don't know, because in school now, like with our kids, they only spent one unit on it
Yeah.
Yeah.
in eighth
Yeah.
grade. One unit in eighth grade. Like I remember we had to do some Bill of Rights and preamble memorization, but the truth is when you're in elementary school, it's like memorizing the alphabet. You're just
Yes.
doing it. It's not that I'm not saying little kids don't understand their rights,
Yeah.
but there's a huge difference. Um,
I didn't get my education on history and social studies until I went into college because I was allowed, I had that wonderful letter by the pastor that said I could remove myself anytime it was talking about anything that was
Oh.
against the Bible and against
Mhm.
what was going on. So, I mean, all of us youth groups from Apostolic Pentecostal Church would just turn in that to our science teachers, turn it into whatever we needed to do. And we would just get extra homework and we would leave the classroom, go to the library for the hour and wouldn't have to sit there. But I
Wow.
remember feeling like so stupid when I was sitting in college class like 3 years ago, finishing my political science class. And I looked at my professor, I was like, wait a minute, our forefathers were Christians.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I'm
it's
like,
in,
what
right?
did you just say? And I'm like, I looked around the room and I'm there with a bunch of 18-year-olds and I'm like,
Oh.
our forefathers were Christians, right? I didn't know until I was like in my 50s
Yeah.
Yeah,
that they were
That's
theist and
okay.
anti-theist, and they
totally.
came from every walk of life. I thought for sure we were rooted and grounded and not a Christian
Yeah.
And
nation.
that was
Well, that's what they
probably
tell
by
us.
design, most likely by
Absolutely.
design,
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
absolutely,
Absolutely.
That's why
absolutely,
our textbooks only come from Texas and California.
Who
And
right.
made those
eh,
Yes.
textbooks?
Ghislaine Maxwell's father. I don't know if y'all have gone down that rabbit trail, but
No,
you
that's
should. I will
crazy.
save that for you guys to go down, but look at the connection between Ghislaine Maxwell's father and our textbooks and
Wow.
news press.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's
Yeah.
all interwoven.
Yeah.
So
It
much stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that's one of the biggest things that deconstruction has shown me is how much corruption's really out there and how much of it the church actually has its hands in.
Well, and
Oh,
Yes.
I
You
think
know?
that's the way it almost needs to be in a sense. You know, I'm sitting here reflecting for me. I was so written off in school that
mm,
I
Yeah.
wrote off school very quickly. In fact, I think the only reason why I was able to graduate high school is because they wanted me the fuck out of there. And
right.
you know, and I'm kind of a dichotomy at the time. I've always kind of been a dichotomy. So at the time, I'm very much Christian, very super like learning, getting into Christian culture, like saving myself for marriage, like doing all the shit. But on the other hand, I'm getting super into punk rock and hardcore music, and now I have found this scene that accepts me and I accept them. But a part of that, to be a part of that scene meant you had to be socially aware. And
Mhm.
so now suddenly I'm listening to all these bands that have these politics, and I'm now diving into their politics and going like, oh shit, that's the history of the, like, that's what, because
Yeah.
I've heard this version of it, but like this is the real version. And so, you know, as an early teen, my level of distrust was through the roof immediately just because of the culture that I was in. And so then I'm taking parts of that back to Christianity, and it made me an outsider in that world, but I
Yeah.
always felt like I could be like a beacon of change and a beacon of hope, because like I loved Jesus, like truly,
Yes.
like
Right.
Jesus was the best and so cool and like a rebel, and he's a punk like me, you know, like, but yeah, but that was, yeah. It
It's
just,
easier to think you can be the change than to
yeah,
actually be it because we all know in those spaces, people have to be willing and open to new information, new ideas, you know? And a
and
lot of
that's
the
what
people
kept
in those
me
spaces are
in.
not. Yeah.
That's what kept me in for 20 fucking
Like I
years, is
always
I
tell
thought
people,
I
Yeah.
could
I
change it.
accidentally unindoctrinated myself because I wanted more of God. And
Hmm.
I
Mhm.
couldn't get enough. Like I was listening to podcasts all the time and sermons and worship music. And I started going outside of my box and listening to some other preachers that I didn't normally listen to. Well, I
Yeah.
started taking in some really progressive teaching by Damon Thompson. And I started listening to his teaching. And then that led me to Rachel Held Evans' work. And when I started reading her stuff, that wrecked me. Her books changed my life. It was never the same after that because I was like,
Yeah.
I can't go back. It's like I always say, once your eyes have been opened
Yep.
and you've pulled all that crap out of the box, you can't put it back in there the same way again. It doesn't fit no more. It just
Mhm.
doesn't.
Mhm.
And once you know the truth, you can't pretend with the lie anymore either. You
Right.
know, you can't put that fake face on and keep pretending like, oh, yeah, this is good. Jesus loves everybody, not the gays, though. No, because I don't believe that. I don't believe that just because you love somebody different than I do or love differently than I do, that you're unworthy of love and respect, you
Yeah.
know? So, and that was, I think, the first thing that I deconstructed was like just being homophobic, you know, like because I was told for so long that gay people were horrible. Well, I met some gay people and I learned, hey, these people are really cool. They're not horrible people at all. You know,
And
they're
see,
not
for
over
me,
here like doing all this horrible stuff to kids and
right?
indoctrinating them and stuff.
Yep.
And
But
for me, it was a pile of everything at all at one time. It wasn't like, oh, this and this and this and this. It was like, oh my God, do I deconstruct how I wear my dresses, how long they are? Do I cut my hair? Do I put on makeup? Do I
Yeah.
address racism? Do I address bigotry? Which one do I do? And I was like on AD HD steroids. I was like, oh, I'm never going to get away. But the Bible stuff, once I deconstructed one scripture and was like, this is bullshit, then it
Yeah.
was easy for the whole Bible to be
Mhm.
bullshit. But it has not been easy for me to say indoctrination is bullshit. I still got them ugly things that like creep up on me all the time, and I have to
Oh yeah.
question. It's like, oh my God, should I wear this out tonight? I'm not looking very godly. And I'm like, what am I thinking? What just happened here?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, mine creeps up still in an odd way because I have such a disdain for the church that
Yes.
I'm often met with like this internal like careful, you got to protect the church like
Yes.
voice, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like and that is a deep programming in me because I have
Yep.
felt the
Yeah.
need and I think that this is a huge problem within the evangelical church is the need to protect your God and to
Yes.
protect your church
Mhm.
is like causes so much fucking harm. Like
Yep.
I
so
am a
much harm.
proud anti-theist. I'm just saying, I'm against the system and everything about the system, from the top of the steeple to the back of the door.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that religious spaces do not cause harm from birth on. You know, it's just like, so I understand that, but there is that voice, and this is not the this is the other thing. And Prez, you may understand this. I know Heather does. Is that if I get into a situation that I'm talking to authority, I put my church voice on. And I didn't realize I had a church voice, but I
Mm.
instantly will go, wow, it's so good to be here today. It's like a
Mhm.
boss or a police officer. Like my voice
Mhm.
completely changes. I go from being like, okay, hey, what's going on? It's like,
Mhm.
I'm so glad to meet you today. And it's
That
a
little
church voice.
submissive lady comes back out again.
Yes, yes, that's what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
instantly, I'm like, ooh, let me be a little more submissive. And I'm like, then I find myself like balking at it, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't tell me
Yeah.
I'm too passionate.
I find myself, I am very, very spicy, and I found myself more
What?
recently coming way more into my own. Like, I've really recently had a moment where I was like, wait a minute. Like, I am capable, and I'm watching it come out in many, many directions in a positive way. However, the one area that I do not know how to navigate right now with my religious trauma is I think we go to this thrift shop pretty much every week, and it does support a women's shelter,
Okay.
and it is does have religious affiliation. And there is a woman there who sings worship songs at the top of her lungs, is the kindest, sweetest, most beautiful woman, wishes everyone a beautiful day. I has lost a child, and religion is their saving grace. Every time I walk in there, like I think I'm making the right decision here. Like I'm not about to be like, well, actually, the discrepancies in the Bible, but that is one area that I don't, and I've landed on I should stay the fuck out of it. But I do have a hard time having that juxtaposition of I understand this is everything for you, but this may also be keeping you sicker. Like
Yes.
I understand that these
Absolutely.
scriptures are have been with you and are with you and feel safe and you want to spread the gospel of this, but the next person I could have been as susceptible if I walked into that shop and I lost a loved one and the next thing I know it I'm now,
Yeah.
bonding with you over this. So I think about that one pretty much every day a little bit of I don't know what
Mhm.
to do with that.
There
Yeah,
was,
that's a tough one
yeah.
because with this, like the lady that you're speaking about, there are times where you walk in and she's speaking about healing from losing a child, but then there's other times you walk in and she's literally in tears talking to a customer about Charlie Kirk, and and
Yeah.
you're like,
You're not healed.
there's like this moment where you want to step in and be like, hey, there's a better way. But then as soon as I think that thought, I'm like, I'm a Christian again. What the fuck?
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes.
I don't
Or
like I'm an evangelical, a deconstruction evangelical. Like, yeah, it's a
it
weird
is
like
a like extreme level of shut the fuck up every time we go in there. Cause like last time we were in there, this woman was like, "You should really watch Erica Kirk's speech.
Oh my,
She was
see,
so
no,
strong."
see,
And I literally was gonna
I
be like
couldn't
that
be
racist
quiet. I would
fucking.
really struggle.
yeah.
The Lord would
If
not be able to
there
hold my tongue.
if there were not children there, and it was one of those days where I was just like, if they're gonna be speaking this boldly right now, and
Yeah.
like then we're not gonna get anywhere. And I had a moment of like, be chill, Presley. You can't go viral for this. There are stronger
Yes.
things we could go viral for. This
It's
is
like
not
we
it.
have to pick our battles, right? You really do. You have to pick your battles, and you have to know whether it's a worthy opponent. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Yeah.
very important because somebody that's in like that woman's mindset, honey, you got to have to stoop beneath yourself and on a level that is way below you to communicate with her and have that conversation.
Yeah.
Why would you ever lower yourself to that position? You were just
Mm-mm.
talking about how far you've come, how
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
much you have grown. So, sometimes it's just better for us to just let them stay in their delusions and just go on with our life,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, it's unless they turn it towards me. If
Yeah.
they're talking
Yeah.
about
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
yeah,
You
yeah.
but
turn it
if
towards me,
No,
game
I'm
on.
saying no, I'm good.
I kind of walk around a little bit, kind of hoping for
And
that.
I'm like, please, and I'm like, it's okay.
I am the same
It's
way. Like
okay.
those
Wait,
people like that pray or sing worship songs in the Walmart. I'm always thinking, oh, just let that happen to me just one fucking time. I would love to be the person that's in that store
the
because I
last
would start
time,
being
oh
even
god.
louder and I would call them out.
I'm
So the
so
last
glad I'm
time
not alone. Okay, you
we
guys,
got
I'm so glad.
no, last time we got witness to, literally, we were crossing the street and these
Oh,
like three young boys, or these two young
they
boys
were
and an older
definitely like
man
at least 18.
come up to us and start telling us about Jesus. And I, in this moment, I'm like, I'm not going to engage because I don't want to.
I said we're
Yeah.
the absolute worst people to talk to this about right now. Is literally what I said.
That's what
I
she
said we are the
responded with.
last people you want to talk to about this. Like truly, I wouldn't talk to us
Which
about this.
sparked their interest even
Oh,
more.
Lord.
Which then, long story short, we went through a whole conversation,
I
and it
even
ended.
asked them. I even asked them how many pounds of shit did Noah's Ark have to get offloaded for survival. Like
I love
that's
you,
where
dude.
I
I
went.
love you.
It ends in us crossing the street
Oh God.
while Presley, and we're in our downtown where we own it. We own a business. We do our business here. Presley is yelling, "These people hate gay people.
They do.
They hate gay," just over and over
They
again.
think if I said they think if you're gay you should go to hell, and then these people across the street were like, "What did they say?" And I said they think that gay people should go, and they're like, "Oh fuck no!" And I was so yeah. Those people. There's
Yeah.
another layer to that pisses me off, and it's because they are an all Asian, predominantly Asian church, which means this is a sister church of a
Mhm.
predominantly white church.
Yeah.
And I do have like deep personal trauma with that because I look at these people and I'm like, you will always be othered and you will always
Yes.
be
Mhm.
them. Like I've dealt with so much of this. My background's in Presbyterian, and there's a church that I went to, and it's like a celebrity church, which I think is so annoying.
Yeah.
But these people, like I remember this pastor, he was like, God shows up every day, reminds us we're all the same. And I remember being in the back and I'm like, go on. I'm excited to hear how you
Here
and
we
I are the
go.
same. And he goes, every week we have different churches rent out our space, and we happen to have a Korean church. And you'll never believe it, but I just saw them out there, and you want to know what they were having for lunch after church? Pizza! It's so fucking funny. They all. And he
Wow.
goes, I
Yes.
can't believe that we all love pizza. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I don't know how they didn't escort me out of there. Like, my
Yeah.
Jezebel spirit was like the fog in the
She's
room.
like, I'm on fire right now. I am a
No, I
raging
was
inferno.
so mad. And then I was looking around. I was mad that there's only one other Asian woman. She's just like, ha 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 ha. And I was like, no. And so I, like, my fiance at the time, who was not Joshua, this was like years before, I was like, you need to speak to the elders. And he goes, I don't know what you want me to do. And I was like, what? I was like, you need to go explain that you just othered an entire church. And it's not just a random church, it's a church that you're saying is part of them. Like, is
Yeah.
part of all of us. And you're getting up there and saying, can you believe they're eating pizza?
Did he pussy out?
Yes.
What?
And then
Fuck that guy.
I told him I was gonna go talk to them.
Did you?
No, he told me it it was one of those things where I felt like I was gonna like jeopardize his job there.
Wait, but right there, that's the control of the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that right there is a perfect
Absolutely.
example of the fucking hooks that they put in
Yes.
you, right?
Mhm.
Because I think I've heard the same story of someone who's been sexually abused within the church
Oh,
going,
yes.
I didn't want to share that because I knew the cost of what it like
Yes.
that would take down the church.
Mhm.
The pastor wouldn't have a job anymore. And these are, I'm so fucking conditioned to
And
it.
it's always crazy how the victims are responsible for carrying the weight of everything if they're the
Right.
one that's assaulted in a religious space. Because, especially if you're a woman, because you're taught from the beginning that you're responsible if a man lusts after you and all this other garbage, right? But
Mhm.
then we're also responsible for speaking up if something does happen to us.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then we have to be worried about whether we're going to be believed or not, because we know in religious spaces, well, that's dicey. I
Yeah.
mean,
Mhm.
it is so hard for people to come forward and be believed and to actually see justice in these cases. Like it's,
Mhm.
There,
and it's
you
such a
don't.
problem.
I mean, in some of these high controlled religions, you're not going to get justice because you're
No.
not going to get anybody to testify and to come forward and stand with the victim.
Yeah.
And that is what is so sad. It's like that is the reason why I wound up escaping the cult that I was in. I went back in August, 30 years later, walked into the back of the church. My brothers and sisters my brother walked up to me and said, hi, welcome to church. We'd love to have you come back on Sunday. Asked me my name. He didn't know I was his big sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And when I
Like,
looked at him and I said, your name is Tobias. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, so what is your name? And I was like, I'm Tamara. I'm your big
Wow.
sister. And
Wow.
he bent to his knees when he realized that he did
Whoa.
not even know me. And what the churches do is they try to erase the women who do stand up, stand out, and talk and leave, and then find a voice. But we are so shamed and shunned by Jezebel and use that name against us so long for so many years that it is really hard for us to say out loud, I am a victim. Because
Mhm.
when I went back to that church in August of last year, my brothers informed me that I desecrated their holy ground
Mm.
by
Wow.
coming back. And then I looked at him. I was like, "Well, let me ask a question. I see 15 men right now in my eyes views that I know have committed CSA, SA, DV, and they're in your church."
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
he's like, "Well, they've been forgiven. That's up to God to do anything more.
Wow.
Wow.
yeah.
You desecrate our holy ground." And I'm like, dude.
So the abusers
You
can
know, but I
stay.
want to be like, in that moment, I want to be like, okay, how fucking weak is your holy ground, or how
Yes.
powerful am I? Because
Yes.
that doesn't line up. You know, fuck that.
And
Yes.
it's so crazy too, because it's like, oh, here we are. We're shunning the person that got away from a place that can't protect women and children. Like, how messed up? Like, ugh, I hate these
The most
institutions.
beautiful thing about
Yeah.
that is that when I did walk to the back of the church, we're all related. Everybody in the church is related. It's 5, 6 generations in of apostolic Pentecostalism. So everybody has big families, right? And I was sitting in the where the coats are and the real pretty, the foyer is. I was standing there, right?
Mhm.
And there's an emergency exit door on the side of the church. everybody exit out the emergency side door, and nobody would walk past me and say hi. Only
Mm.
5 men
Wow.
in that church. And I was like, oh, where's your wife? And the next man would come up and say, oh, it's good seeing you. And it was like, oh, and where's your wife?
Yeah.
None of the women
Right.
were allowed to talk to me. But later on, my brother looked at me and said, I was like, why weren't the women allowed to come and shake my hand? I've not done anything wrong. And he was like,
Yeah.
we're alpha men and our women obey us. Like,
Oh, that's so messed up.
God,
Okay.
I'm
Well, you
so
know
glad
what?
I'm gone.
On a different
I'm
Oh,
gonna
note,
try that on you later.
let's talk about
yeah,
some
you'll
kick-ass
die.
women for a second. Since after all that, I want to talk about Prez for just a second because she has a new song
Yeah.
that's getting ready to come out, and I
Oh
want
my
you to
God,
tell us
yes.
about it because I am so freaking proud of you. I have seen
Thank
you
you.
Yes.
grow so much over the past several years, and you're
Hmm.
really coming into
Same to you.
yourself. And you're
Yeah.
becoming such a powerful voice to younger women and younger people out there, that are just now starting to deconstruct. So I want to hear a little
Well,
bit about your song that you just getting
And
ready to
old
release.
women or older women. We are
all
fan clubs
everyone.
too. I'm just making sure you
Yes,
know.
everyone. Well, yeah. I mean, it's funny. For being like the age that I am, I stay inside a lot. But yeah, thank you so much for saying that, Heather. Like, I do feel like I have more confidence in myself and my art, and my projects than ever before. But like, truly, a lot of it, like, it is like you being so brave out there. Like, I see the shit the things that people say to you, like I want to get up there and fight these people that, but then I look down and I was like, well, I'm not going to say anything better than Heather. So, and it is so it's you really. I talk to Josh about it all the
All
time.
the
Like
time.
you
You're
and
you're like regularly talked about in our home.
yeah, like you've emboldened me, and like because I've also gone to see your journey, and like I feel like we were all kind of just like all of us are sprinting uphill, and I feel like this might be one of the first times we're all looking up and we're like, oh shit, you're still here too. Like, and it's
Yeah,
not that because it's kind of
yeah.
like the feeling of like you can feel people running next to you, behind you, in front of you, but you're just
Yes.
looking. And I feel like this is our first rest stop of like okay, we're all fucking tired, but like at least we're
Yes.
here,
We're here and we have
So
each
That's
other and
amazing.
it's great.
exactly. So, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to talk about this song because this is the first time I am releasing something, and it's our song. Like, I know I'm saying it's my
Yes,
song, but
it
it's our
is.
song together. This is the first time that I'm releasing a tool. So, tomorrow I'm going to be posting the lyrics, and I want people to memorize the lyrics for the bridge. And my idea for the song is that it is a protest song, and it's meant for people like us. It's meant for our audience. Like, I'm sure there are people on the far right and further left that will hear this, or people in the middle, but it's primarily calling out fence sitters. So I know y'all are going to know what a fence sitter is, but for anyone who's listening who wants to be super clear, what I mean by a fence sitter is someone who says, I'm not political, I don't have time, there's both sides have good points, I'm not meant to speak into this, oh, I don't know what's going on, my voice doesn't make a difference. It's those kinds of people who
Yes.
aren't to me it's not really even that you're a fence sitter. You're telling me you haven't spent time looking into it for yourself, and you're living in a state of privilege where it's not affecting you, or
Yes.
you're unaware of how it's affecting you and people around you. So it's this idea of like ignorance is bliss is no longer like ignorance is I'm here to slap you in the face with it with this song. So the first part of it is all about like it's the fence sitter's perspective. It's like, toe that line. Don't think too much about it. It's just a wave. Don't rock the boat. But the choruses are it's me like I'm trying to make it like it's kind of a joke. Like if you listen to the song, there's like little call outs that I say in there. But the humor, the satire is pointing at like, hey, come on, use that mind a little smarter, like stand a little taller. I know it's hard to
Yeah.
use your
Yeah,
words.
it's almost like condescending. Like, come on,
Yes.
bud,
Yeah,
you can
like you
do
Yes.
can do
it.
I
it.
We
love
can do
that.
it.
I love
Yeah.
that so much.
But then the bridge is me. Like that is me yelling on a megaphone. Like I have this image and I mean this with confidence, not like status, but I'm imagining myself as a queen bee and I live and die for my hive. Like they feed me. That's the only reason why I even am as powerful as I can be, and it's my job to take care of them and all of that. Like it's this relationship where even though I'm the queen bee, like I'm nothing without the hive, and the hive
Yes.
is nothing without me. Like it's us together. So that is me on a megaphone, like creating my army of bees. And
Love
that's
it.
where we are just calling out the fascism and the racism and all of that in there. So I'm really excited about the music video. I know this is a lot of information, so I'm grateful that you're letting me say all of this. But the music video, or really the visual that's paired with it, is going through like these different characters. So we have like the trad wife. So she's just like she's drinking milk in her dress with the sun shining on her, and she's
Clutching her
yeah,
Bible.
clutching her Bible. So she's like
That's awesome.
this is like a woman's job is to be kind of removed and kind of supporting the
Yes.
man. And I've been told to keep my mouth shut a few times, except for when I'm on my knees. It's fine.
I
And
love it
then
so much.
I'm so glad. I'm making this is a song for us. Like I really want people to use it as a tool. And then there's a couple of other characters in there. Like there is the me character. There is like I'm a crazy housewife in a nightgown setting something on fire at one point. I am just like in a bikini, just living my best life with a bunny. So there are all of these little tiny Easter eggs that are representing, and it's all purposeful, trying to make it a little more nuanced for a couple of reasons. One, like the censorship that's going on,
Yeah.
but two, I am trying to get people to use that mind a little smarter. Like I shouldn't have to get out here and like I should be able to use a different format to get my idea across.
Yeah, and already, the interesting thing about the song being a tool is we're seeing it for us as well. Like,
Yes.
as we do our normal, like, as someone who we write and produce all the time, we have our group of people that we send things to, and some of those
Yeah.
people that are included are outside of our normal circle.
Yes.
And it's caused conversations to happen of like,
Yes.
okay, well, what's this song really like? What are you saying? I mean, we get that it's politically charged, and I've listened to Prez have some like really powerful conversations out of it. But um, can I just talk about the day that the song started to be written? Because it's actually, I just kind of put it together in my head.
It's pretty significant.
It was pretty cool. So, one of the interesting things was I had just posted a video about my grandfather on TikTok, and how he was in a clip of a Clint Eastwood movie, Play Misty for Me. He wandered into the filming of this movie on accident and was an
Yeah.
extra. And I was talking about my grandpa and how just this man was incredible. And even in this clip, he outshone Clint Eastwood. He just like he was so handsome and much taller than Clint Eastwood. So I'm sharing this like beautiful story about my grandpa online, and it has to do with a hat too. Like he wore this stupid hat and he didn't care what other people thought about him. And this guy gets on there and starts calling me effeminate because I had my nails painted, my hair's long, and telling me that my grandpa did just a shit job of being a grandpa to me. And that deeply wounded me, right? And so and then one of the things that he said was like, basically like you're teaching your sons to be pussies, like your grandpa taught you to be a pussy, is what he said.
Oh, wow.
And so we came in here and just so happened to start writing. And then our kid, who, we're raising to be a pussy, goes and sits on the drum set. And I was playing bass. I normally don't even play bass. Prez started just kind of ripping on this guitar thing.
And the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Some folks are scared to get caught in the middle." And I was like, "Oh shit."
Yeah, and it just
And
kind
then
of flowed.
and
We
then
were,
it
and the
literally was like,
groove.
"Afraid to speak their minds well at the dinner table." And I was like, "Okay." Truth is that if you're
Uh,
And
not
it was
offended,
just
and it just came
boom,
out.
boom. And it was
Because
so
it was
cool.
meant to be.
And it was
oh
a moment
man,
with our son
that
too,
shook.
right?
Yeah.
Like
That is so
born out
beautiful.
of a moment of like you're raising a pussy, and yet our 15-year-old just laid down the sickest fucking groove. You know what I mean? And we're
But
Yes.
just
then
like,
on
Yes.
top of that, I wrote a song that's too fucking hard for me to sing. Holy fucking shit. So, like, I'm being completely honest. Like, part of the reason it took us so long is number one, like, this song made us fight a bunch.
Yeah.
Like, we couldn't decide. is this a new band? It's such a different sound. Like, is this a new project? Is this his song? Is it my song? Do we stop doing Tristan and Sage? Do we stop doing Prez and Joshua Colburn and we do this whole new thing called Zen Mother? And now it's a whole political movement. And then like I couldn't get the vocal take to sound relaxed but angry. Like we couldn't figure out how to get the bridge to like connect back to the chorus. Like we basically
Yeah.
were like, what the fuck? We wrote three different songs in one. So then we're like, maybe we should write three different songs. And then I think we tried doing another
Yeah.
political song. And then, but through all of that, which is so beautiful, is like every aspect of us had like worked out. Like,
Yeah.
not, I mean, therapy again, new medications again. I had to go to treatment again. He had to have a whole new treatment again. Like, it's not like the first time lesson, it's again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I am literally running on a treadmill singing these songs to get these takes because it like and when you hear the song at the end, like that really is me doing it, but that is over a year of trying to do it.
Yeah.
Like it is like I feel like I've had to have done hundreds of takes of this song.
Yeah, I think that's always the problem with the projects that we're working on, but always the beauty of it too is we're building the
Yeah.
plane kind of while flying it. And so sometimes it makes for an interesting airplane.
This also was the same day that
Absolutely.
Trump got elected,
Yeah, it was the
reelected.
same day that Trump got reelected that we
That's kind of
wrote
how
those
I
songs.
feel about how my TikTok evolution journey has been because I've been in the process of healing since this time I got on there, right? So the things I first posted when I first got on TikTok, I wouldn't say that shit now to
Oh,
save my
right.
life.
Right. Oh my
Because I
God.
still believed, I was still believing in everything. I still believed in
Yeah.
the Bible. I was still, so so much of that has changed. Now I would be like, no, I don't value anything over the value of human life like that,
Yeah.
especially not in a book that was written all them years ago that we can't prove the source
It,
of.
it's like
Like,
Right.
it's like you get stuck
Yeah.
in the phase, you're like, well, bless your soul.
Hmm.
While
Yeah.
you're deconstructing, you're looking at
Right.
people going,
and at
well,
first,
bless
I
your
was
Yeah.
so
soul.
determined that I was still going to be able to be friends with everybody. Like, I am
Everybody.
Same.
still going to be able to be friends with everybody on both sides of this. I'm not going to lose anything out of this. And that was such bullshit. I was lying to myself the whole time. Because again, Christians are told that they can't be unequally yoked. So they won't even try and have a relationship with you because they already have it in your mind that you're demonic, possessed, whatever. You're going to pull them away from God,
Yeah.
whatever they have to tell themselves to justify them not being a part of your life anymore, so they don't have to ask themselves hard questions,
Yeah,
right?
and
Hmm.
I've thought
Like,
about this a lot because I witnessed that a lot. I still live in the community here that I was a pastor in. And so I
yeah,
see these people
all the
all
time.
yesterday ran into someone who I mentored, like,
And this
um,
person even is great. I literally said nope, and I walked down another aisle, and it had nothing like if they heard me right now, like let me say it had nothing to do with you. I could not do small talk again. I couldn't do,
Yes.
oh yeah, it's been good, good,
Mm-hmm.
busy, yeah, but good, 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 yeah, they're great, yep, sounds good. I just couldn't do it anymore. I'm sick of the small
Yeah.
talk. I want to talk about what our president is doing. I want to talk
Yes.
about the rights that are being removed. And I don't want someone to be like, what?
Yes,
What are
I
you
want
talking about?
meaty, meaningful
Yeah.
conversations. I really do. I don't want to hear you talk about what outfit you bought last week at the store that was on sale. Like, I
Or
don't
how
give a
you're
shit
stressed
about
out
fashion
because you're
trends or whatever.
remodeling your kitchen.
yeah,
Exactly.
If
Like,
I
I don't
hear
want,
that
what are
one.
you doing to help people? That's what I want to talk about. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
Like
what
that.
do you know about religious trauma? Because people think, well, I guess it probably is like, it's my whole personality now. Cause I promise you, I'm going to talk about it. If you
yeah.
bring up religion, I'm going to talk about it. But you don't want to
Uh-huh.
talk about it with me because I'm gonna hurt your feelings.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's interesting too that when I think as I put this together because I think it was the same as when I was a pastor. I watched the same eye glaze happen now that I'm not a pastor,
yeah,
which is that whether you're a pastor or someone who was in the evangelical world, and then you're not, and you're blatantly not, you become a mirror to these other
Mhm.
people's doubts.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
because they're now looking at you going, wait, this person probably had a lot of the same doubts that, the things that don't connect for me. I got to get away from that because that's going to cause me to look too
Yes.
deeply into that fucking mirror. And I don't want to see because then I don't want to go through what they went through because I saw what the church did to
Exactly.
them. And again, it's the fucking cycle of
It is.
sickness that the church keeps you in.
And
Truly.
that belonging is one of the biggest ways that they keep people trapped because we know, like when I walked away from the church, I walked away from everything. Like I lost family, I lost my entire community,
Yep.
everything
Same.
imploded that moment. So a lot of people aren't strong enough to walk that walk
No,
because they can't
Yeah.
lose all of that. If for
no.
them, it is too hard. It is easier for them to live the lie than to walk away and face the truth.
It's
So
interesting because the grass is legitimately greener
it
on
is
this
so
side.
much, it
Yes.
is.
Walking it though is legitimately harder. Like if I
Yes.
if I
Yes.
look back on the life that I had as a pastor in the megachurch, it was fucking cushy. I did
Yes.
not I did not have I mean I there was politics and all that involved, but the truth is, like looking back in retrospect, I know I could have kept my head down, not asked questions, made good money, and been okay. And
Yep.
not worked hard because it came easy to me. That was
Yes.
the thing.
However, to push back on your point, there's no fucking way when shit started getting more political with the
That's
LGBTQ
true.
and
That's true.
Trump,
That's true.
Yeah.
you would, I knowing that would, no matter what, you were
It
heading
was, yeah,
in that
because like
Yeah.
direction.
my God, we were taught that Jesus loved everybody until we actually wanted to do it, and then they're like, "Whoop, nope, you can't love
Yeah.
those people, or those
Mm-hmm.
people, or those people, or those
Right.
ones." You know,
Yeah.
it's like so
It
many
became
restrictions on
down,
who you can't love.
it
Yep.
became to whoever was inside the four walls of your church.
Yeah.
Yes.
If they looked
I
like you, talked like you, sung like you, dressed like you, act like you could be their friend.
Yep.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody
I had
else was out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really I don't know if I want to say fortunate, but I'd say an unfortunate event that opened my eyes early on in this, and that's I grew up with a friend of mine in the youth group who came out to me, and this is like in the 90s, you don't come out to people,
Yeah.
especially in church. And
Yeah.
he came out to me in the church, and I think I was probably like 15, 16, and I love him. I love this
Yeah.
guy, and I loved him deeply then, and I felt for him because like there was a moment where we were on a missions trip, and he had us like for some reason we were all showering together, right? Like all the guys were showering together. This is 80s and 90s. This is typical. Um, and this guy got an erection in the shower, and he like literally that's the worst thing that can happen in a group of boys, right? Like,
Yeah.
and he was just getting ripped, and then that's when I was talking to him about trying to be a good Christian, trying to be a good friend. He came out to me, and then shortly after he was sent to conversion therapy.
Oh, wow.
And we didn't see Chris for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then when Chris came back, he was like way more fucked up. And so like I watched this guy go through this conversion therapy, struggle with his sexuality. For me, when he told me, I was always like, dude, you're cool. I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
understand that part either. I don't think that works. So, um, I'm it breaks my heart. I'm friends with him now on Facebook. We've
Yeah.
reconnected, like, and he knows what I do now, and knows that I'm an advocate, and it's great to have that full circle moment. But for me, like early on, young in my teens in the church, having this happen, I'm so like it shaped me, and from that
Yeah.
moment on, I was always fighting for the LGBTQIA community inside the church, and I always thought I was making ground, and I think
Yeah.
Mhm.
that might have just been a part of the culture that we were talking about, seeing
Mm-hmm.
those small steps of progress.
Yeah.
Um, and I believed that was unique to me and being in the church, and God had a calling on my life to lead the charge for this. And then it was just towards the end of it met with, nope. Like
Yes.
you can't. I know you fought hard for this, but you can't marry a same-sex couple and be a pastor here. You
Yes.
know, like you can't have someone on your team, your leadership team who has same-sex attraction, you know, and you're
Yeah.
just like, that's
Mhm.
not what I've been fighting for. What the fuck, you guys? And
Yeah.
so
Right.
just off like
Yeah, because the other thing,
My full circle moment was very similar to yours. Like there was a woman that went to church with us for years. She was married to a man, but struggled with her identity for years. Like I watched her for years struggle trying to make this heterosexual marriage work. Like going to therapy, doing all the steps, talking to the people at the church, blah 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 blah, praying. It didn't work. She's still gay at the end of the day, right? But it was just a little while ago, I got to officiate her wedding with her
mm,
wife. And it was such a beautiful thing because I was
yes.
there with her when she was walking through all those struggles. When her mom was literally telling me, you don't want to talk to her right now. She's in a
Mm.
bad way and she's listening to the enemy. And I was like, I'm going to talk to her anyhow because she's a pretty awesome person, you know? So,
yeah.
I
The
had a moment
damage.
like that too. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, no, that's okay. I'm saying the damage that churches do with the rhetoric that is taught and re-spoken and said by the elders of the church outside of the pulpit, it just never ends. It just,
no,
no,
the shaming and shunning doesn't end after you leave either.
nor
It
no.
does it
just
line up.
doesn't leave.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a moment like that, Heather, that was I'm really proud of. There was a couple in the church that I was a part of, and in some sense, a big part of why I left because they were writing letters to the senior pastor, and I was kind of helping them write these letters and be a part of it. And it was they were upset that the church had tricked them, that had called the church a safe place, everyone's welcome, yet and they can give their money, yet the church would not allow for them to serve in a place of
Yeah.
leadership, right? Like
Yeah.
um and so they for years and years alongside me were trying to be a part of that change, and I got to join them in trying to be a part of that change. You know, in a lot of ways I was just along for the ride to support them. um and like a couple months after I left the church, I officiated their wedding. And it
That
was,
is
and
so
if
cool.
I had still been at the church, I would not have been allowed to
Yeah.
officiate their wedding.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
so, not like it was profound for me personally, but I think even more so for them to have like someone who is a spiritual leader in their life
Yes.
say, fuck all that, I'm showing up.
Yes, because
Hmm.
Like,
you did the thing that nobody else would do. You literally had to walk away from what you had to be able to show up for them like that. But in that moment, you did exactly what Jesus would have done. When all
yeah,
those other people, whether you believed in it or not, you did exactly what we should be doing and showing up for them as we should be showing up as people. Like, and I think that's the most beautiful thing about deconstruction. It
Hmm.
causes us to show up for other people as better human beings. Like we
Mm,
show up for ourselves in better ways. We show up for our community in better ways. We show up for our kids in better ways. Like,
yeah,
my God, I would have raised my children so differently. Like I was handed the James Dobson books. I was
mm,
taking the Christian parenting classes where they gave me step-by-step instructions on how to mentally and emotionally abuse my children after I physically abused them by spanking the crap out of them.
And where to
Like,
pinch them?
and this is
Do you
what we
remember?
were
Do you
taught was the
guys get taught that?
godly way.
it's insane.
Where to
And I get
discipline them where they don't show?
Yeah, and I get so
mm,
frustrated when I think about that, especially like when our
Yeah.
boys got a little bit older, they were, boys, they get a little bit rowdy and stuff like that. That was when we were handed that James Dobson book that taught us about using the pressure points on our kids. And I'm like, we're using military abuse tactics on our children that were taught
Mhm.
to us by a Christian that has some kind of kinks from him being beat by his mom when he was a kid. Like,
Insane.
mhm.
it's so messed up. But I'm really grateful that we are able to sit down and have these conversations.
Yes, they're so
You
important.
guys are really powerful voices in the deconstruction community. And I'm definitely going to leave your guys' links in the show notes. That way, our listeners can find you guys. They can find your music, they can find your content, they can hear about the things that you guys talk about because more voices shines more light on all this harm. And again, we say this every week, but we are out here healing loudly together, one story at a time, or two stories at a time,
Yeah.
as
Three or
far as
four.
this week goes. But, I'm just really grateful that you guys were able to come and sit down with us today, talk with
Oh
Oh
us,
yeah.
yeah,
spend some time with us, because I love y'all to pieces. You know
Yeah.
that.
we
Can
do
I
too.
can I love bomb you, to use a Christian
Absolutely.
word
Yes,
here
you
for
can
can I
absolutely love bomb me. I'll let
because
you.
here's the deal, like Heather, truly, you were one of the first voices that I heard, and in a lot of ways, we kind of like grew up on the internet together in
We
a weird way.
did.
Mhm.
You
We
know what I
did.
mean? Um,
Yeah.
but what I've recognized over time in the deconstruction space, I'll speak to TikTok, right? Like that space. Um, is that there's a lot of deconstruction creators who are still trying to be pastors. There's a
Yep.
lot of deconstruction creators out there who are still trying to sell you something that that fulfills a need in them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and for me, I don't know what it is, like the pattern recognition or whatever. Like I can see through that bullshit, and there's a lot of creators like that. Um, Heather, like you are the real fucking deal. Truly.
Yep.
Like I am so grateful for your voice. Every time I see you online, I'm like, that's my fucking sister right there. Like I am just, and there are, I have these moments like Prez too, where I see someone say something to you and I want to go in there and like be like, you don't talk to my fucking sister that way. And then you have just completely dismantled them in the most incredible way. So all that said, like, I just think that your voice is truly one of the most authentic, genuine, caring voices. Like you're someone people can trust on the internet,
Yeah.
and that says a lot because there's not a lot of people you can trust on the
No.
internet. I
God,
think
we've had
both
to
of
learn the
us
hard way.
have been
Oh,
burned a
yes.
lot through that. But I am always, so
Well,
thank
thank
you,
you
Heather,
so
truly.
much. Like, that
Yeah.
means the world to me because, I try to put authenticity out there. Like, everybody knows there ain't, if you ask me about something, I'm going to talk about it. Like, I don't care.
Mhm.
Same.
Because we're out here healing, right? And if I can just help just one person, that's all that mattered to me. Like, because
All that
when I
matters.
started learning all the things that we had been lied to about,
Yeah.
I had to say something. It was like I could not keep this to myself because there are thousands of people that are being harmed by the same
Hmm.
things that were harming me. So it means a lot because I admire you guys both so
Mhm.
much. Like, you guys have been rock stars to me because there are videos that you'll make and you'll say something and I'll just be like, "Oh man, I wish I would have thought about that. He's so brilliant," you
Thank
know?
you.
Hmm.
So I love the work that you guys are doing. I love that what we're building here, this community. Like, and I know we all have different areas of the community. We all do different things, but it's all part of one big body, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
We
it
really
feels
are.
very churchy
It
sometimes.
does. It does. But it's very nice
Oh,
to
that
be
makes
able
me
to be
cringe.
I
find
know.
those
Let's play
people.
some
Oh,
Chubby Bunny,
we're
y'all.
all windows and
Yeah.
doors of one mansion.
Listen, I'm old school church kid, so we still played Red Rover. We would
Oh
clothesline you
shit.
for fun.
We
Oh
played
my
the most
gosh.
insane youth group games. I
Oh
know we
my
got to
gosh, we
wrap up
bobbed for
here.
apples too. I remember that. I could not swim without plugging my nose, and they had me bobbing for apples. They
Oh
damn
Oh,
no.
I'm gonna
drowned
one up
me.
you on this. I'm sorry.
No.
Bobbing for apples. We did a game called Fish Savior where you put like live goldfish in a thing and you had to scoop them up in your mouth and see how many
Oh
fish
no,
you could
that is
save and
so
spit them into another. So yeah,
disgusting.
our youth group was unhinged.
No, man.
Oh wow,
No.
I'm totally glad I missed out on that. I'm just saying.
No, I would
I
have been
would have been going to
out.
hell that day because I would not have been able
I
to
would have been
participate.
out.
Well,
Well,
No.
thank you
thanks for
guys
having us on. We
Thank
again.
you so
Yes,
appreciate it.
we
much.
appreciate it so much. I love y'all so stinking much.
We
Much
You
love you
have a
love.
guys.
great day
Thank
today.
you.
Bye,
Bye,
And
everybody.
Bye, y'all.
just so you know, I'm the new. I've always been a fan, but now I get to know who you
Oh,
guys
yes.
are. I love you guys.
Are
Thank you
you're
so
on?
Same.
much.
Are you on socials too? Because
She
I
is,
Yeah, I'm
yes.
Jezebel.
okay, I'm gonna follow you if I don't
Yeah.
already.
And to our
I suck at
listeners,
this stuff
we
Me
are
though.
so
too.
grateful that you guys hung out with us again this week. If you haven't done
Beyond.
so already, please hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode of our crazy deconstruction shenanigans. We'll catch you back here again next time for another episode.
Much love, you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Religion has many victims, and these are the stories of how they survived.
The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2026.